Welcome back, fam. Coach Nate here. If you wake up feeling tight or like your body needs a reset before tackling the day, and maybe you've been sitting for too long, you're in the right place. Today's session is all about full body mobility, loosening up your hips, spine, and shoulders so you can move freely, pain-free, and with more energy. Most people skip stretching, but not you. You're here showing up, and that already sets you apart. By the end of the session, I promise your hips will feel more open, your spine will feel lighter and more mobile. You'll have more energy to take on the day. No equipment is needed, just you, your mat, and a commitment to feeling amazing. Let's hit the mat. We're starting with seated internal hip rotations to wake up the hip joints and improve mobility. This stretch is essential for anyone who sits for long hours or feels tightness in their lower body. Sit on the mat with your knees bent, feet flat on the floor, and hands placed behind you for support. Slowly drop your right knee towards your left foot while keeping your chest upright. Come back to center, then drop your left knee towards your right foot. Move slowly and with control for a full minute, feeling the internal rotation of your hips. Tight hips can limit movement, cause lower back pain, and even mess with posture. This movement wakes up your hip flexors, releases tension, and improves overall mobility. Beginners, keep your hands planted behind you for extra support. If you need more of a challenge, lean forward slightly and remove hand support to engage your core more. Now that we've loosened up the hips, let's open up the inner thighs and groin for even more flexibility. This classic hip opener will stretch your inner thighs, groin, and lower back, setting the foundation for the rest of the routine. Sit tall with the soles of your feet pressed together, knees dropped upward. Hold your ankles and keep your back straight. Gently press your knees down toward the floor, using your elbows for a deeper stretch. Hold for 1 minute, focusing on deep breathing and relaxing into the stretch. This stretch improves hip mobility, reduces lower back tightness, and preps your body for deeper movements later in the routine. Beginners, sit on a cushion to elevate your hips and reduce discomfort. Advanced stretches, fold forward to intensify the stretch in your hips and back. Be careful not to force your knees down. Forcing this stretch could cause discomfort in the groin. Instead, let gravity do the work. Now we're going to loosen up the lower back and glutes with a stretch that targets deep-seated tension. This one's for tight hips, lower back relief, and deep glute activation. If you've ever felt stiffness after sitting for too long, this stretch will feel amazing. Lie on your back with both knees bent, feet flat on the floor. Cross your right ankle over your left thigh, forming a figure 4 shape. Reach through and grab behind your left thigh, pulling it toward your chest. Hold for 1 minute, feeling the stretch in your right glute and hip. Sitting all day can cause the glutes to tighten up and stop activating properly. This stretch releases built-up tension and improves hip flexibility. Beginners, keep your left foot on the floor and just press your right knee outward. If you need more of a challenge, gently rock side to side to intensify the stretch. By the end of the session, you'll notice how much more relaxed your hips and lower back feel. Now, let's balance it out by stretching the other side. Same movement, but now we're hitting the left glute and hip. Stay kneeling on your back, cross your left ankle over your right thigh, creating that figure 4 shape. Grab behind your right thigh and gently pull it towards your chest. Hold for 1 minute, breathing deeply and allowing the stretch to deepen. This stretch balances out the body, ensuring both sides of your hips feel open and mobile. Beginners, keep your right foot planted for a gentler stretch. And if you're advancing in this stretch, rock slightly side to side or pull your thigh closer for a deeper stretch. If you feel one side is tighter than the other, that's completely normal. But wait until we hit the next few stretches, you'll feel the difference. Next up, we're going to engage the core and release tension in the lower back, and with a simple but powerful movement. This stretch helps reset the spine, improve posture, and release lower back tightness. Sit tall with your legs extended. Pull your right knee toward your chest. wrapping your arms around it. Keep your spine straight and shoulders relaxed. Hold for 1 minute, feeling the stretch in your lower back and hip. This movement realigns the lower spine, improves posture, and gently stretches the hip flexors and glutes. Beginners, keep the opposite leg bent for more stability. Advanced stretches, try pulling your knee in tighter for a deeper stretch. We've now loosened the hips and glutes. Your lower body is already feeling more mobile. Now let's switch sides to ensure we even out the stretch. Same movement, now switching to the left knee. Sit tall and pull your left knee toward your chest. Keep your back straight and shoulders down. Hold for a minute, focusing on controlled breathing. Just like the right side, this stretch promotes spinal alignment and flexibility. If you feel tension here, wait until we get to the next few stretches. We're going to feel incredible. Next up, we're taking things deeper with the full forward fold. Now that we've warmed up the hips and lower back, let's move into a deep hamstring and spine stretch. Sit tall with your legs extended in front of you. Flex your feet so your toes point toward the sky. Hinge at your hips and reach forward toward your toes while keeping your back flat. Hold for 1 minute, breathing deeply into the stretch. This stretch targets the hamstrings, lower back and calves, reducing tightness and improving flexibility for better movement throughout the day. Beginners, keep a slight bend in your knees to avoid overstretching. Advanced stretches, if you need more of a challenge, grab your toes and gently pull yourself deeper into the stretch. If you feel stiffness in your hamstrings, don't worry. We've got more movements coming up to loosen up everything. Now, let's take things down to the hips with the mobility boosting movement. This is an underrated mobility movement that unlocks the hips and lower back. Lie on your back with your knees bent and feet flat. Bring your knees toward your chest and rotate in small circles. Reverse direction after 30 seconds. Hip circles increase mobility, improve joint function, and release tension in the lower back. Beginners, keep the circles smaller for less intensity. Advanced stretches, extend the opposite leg straight for a deeper stretch. Now, your hip joints are starting to feel more fluid, setting you up for the next deep stretch. Now let's fire up the core and shoulders with a strong hold. This stretch doubles as an activation move to strengthen your core while engaging the shoulders. Get into a push-up position with your hands under your shoulders. Keep your core tight, back straight, and legs engaged. Hold for 1 minute, breathing deeply and maintaining balance. High planks build core stability, improve posture, and strengthen the shoulders and arms. Beginners, feel free to drop your knees for a modified plank. Advanced stretches, lift one leg off the ground for an extra challenge. If this plank feels shaky, just wait until we start working deeper into the glutes. Now let's shift our focus to the posterior chain with a powerful lower body activation. This movement activates the glutes, hamstrings, and lower back. Lie on your back with your knees bent and feet flat, hip width apart. Press your heels and lift your hips toward the sky. Squeeze your glutes at the top, then lower down slowly. Repeat for 1 minute with controlled movements. Glute bridges help activate and strengthen the glutes, which reduce strain in the lower back. Beginners, keep your feet closer to your body for more control. Advanced stretches, lift one leg for a single leg bridge variation. Your posterior chain is now engaged, making it easier to flow into a next deep hip opener. Awesome. Let's keep this flow going with the next 5 stretches to unlock even more mobility and flexibility. We're diving into one of the best hip openers to relieve tension and improve mobility. Start in a high plank. Bring your right knee forward toward your right wrist, placing your shin at an angle. Extend your left leg straight behind you, keeping your hips squared. If comfortable, lower your chest toward the mat for a deeper stretch. Hold for 1 full minute, breathing deeply. Pigeon pose targets the hip flexors, glutes, and lower back, making it perfect for reducing stiffness from sitting. Beginners, keep your chest lifted and place a block under your hip for support. Advanced stretches, lower your forearms or fully extend your arms forward. If your hips feel tight right now, wait until we even things out on the other side. Now, let's bring balance to the body by switching sides. Time to mirror that deep release on the left side. From a high plank, bring your left knee toward your left wrist, placing your shin at an angle. Extend your right leg straight behind you and keep your hips squared. Lower your chest down if it feels good. Hold for 1 full minute, taking slow, deep breaths. This stretch improves hip flexibility, reduces lower back strain, and enhances mobility. Beginners, stay upright with your hands on the mat for support. Advanced stretches, lay fully forward and relax into the stretch. Now that we've opened up the hips on both sides, it's time to add a full body mobility flow. Next, we're stepping into one of the most powerful dynamic stretches for total body flexibility. This movement lives up to its name. It hits the hips, spine, and shoulders all in one go. Start in a high lunge with your right foot forward and left leg extended behind you. Place your left hand on the mat inside your right foot. Rotate your right arm toward the sky, opening your chest. Hold for a moment, then bring your elbow down toward the mat before rotating back up. Repeat for 1 minute, moving fluidly. This full body movement improves hip mobility, spinal rotation, and shoulder flexibility. Beginners, keep your back knee on the mat for extra support. Advanced stretches, reach your arm further back to deepen the rotation. Can you feel the difference in mobility already? Just wait until we complete the other side. Let's make sure we don't leave one side tighter than the other. Same incredible movement, just switching sides. Step your left foot forward into a high lunge. Place your right hand on the mat inside your foot. Rotate your left arm toward the sky, opening your chest. Lower your elbow toward the mat, then twist back up. Keep moving through this dynamic stretch for 1 minute. This stretch unlocks tightness in the hips, spine, and shoulders, making it a powerhouse move. Beginners, drop your back knee down for more stability. Advanced stretches, try reaching further to increase the stretch. Your entire body is opening up now, setting you up for the next powerful movement. Now we're taking all that mobility and taking it into a fluid lower body flow. A dynamic movement to stretch and strengthen at the same time. Start in a low lunge with your left foot forward and right knee resting on the mat. Shift your hips forward, feeling a stretch in your hip flexors. Inhale as you shift your arms overhead and open the chest. Exhale and gently rock your hips back, straightening the front leg slightly. Flow through this movement for 1 minute with control. This active stretch improves hip flexibility, spinal mobility, and overall movement control. Beginners, keep your hands on your hips for more balance. Advanced stretches, deepen the lunge and hold the stretch longer, or lift your back knee off the mat. Your left side is opening up, but how does the right side compare? Let's make it even by flowing through the right side next. You're doing amazing so far. Now, let's even things out and continue unlocking that low body mobility with the next 5 stretches. Time to flow through the same hip opening movement, but on the right side. Step your right foot forward into a low lunge with your left knee resting on the mat. Shift your hips forward, keeping your chest tall. Inhale and lift your arms overhead, opening through the chest. Exhale and gently rock your hips back, straightening the front leg slightly. Flow through this movement for 1 minute, moving smoothly with your breath. This dynamic lunge improves hip mobility, releases tension in the quads, and strengthens balance. Beginners, keep your hands on your hips for more stability. Advanced stretches, sink deeper into the lunge and hold each stretch longer. Now that both hip flexors unlocked, it's time to fire up the hamstrings. Next, we're going into a standing position for a deep forward fold. One of the best stretches to release tension in the hamstrings and lower back. Stand with your feet hip-width apart and keep a slight bend in your knees. Hinge at the hips and fold forward, letting your upper body hang. Keep your spine long and let your head relax completely. Hold for 1 full minute, breathing deeply and sinking further into the stretch. This movement lengthens the hamstrings, decompresses the spine, and calms the nervous system. Beginners, rest your hands on your shins or a block. Advanced stretches, grab your elbows and gently sway side to side. Your hamstrings are opening up, but we're about to add an extra layer to the stretch. Now, let's add some movement and take the stretch to the next level. Let's increase mobility with this dynamic variation of the forward fold. Still in your standing forward fold position, start sweeping your hands across your toes. Continue this movement for 1 minute, moving with control. This movement adds dynamic flexibility, improving hamstring mobility, and releasing tension in the upper back. Beginners, keep a slight bend in both knees. Advanced stretches, increase the intensity of your sweeps. Now that our hamstrings are fully activated, let's open up the hips even further. Get ready for a deep squat that will challenge your mobility. A powerful hip opener to improve mobility and flexibility. Stand with your feet slightly wider than hip width apart. Turn your toes slightly outward and lower into a deep squat. Bring your elbows inside your knees and press them outward gently. Keep your spine tall and chest lifted as you hold for 1 minute. Frog squat stretches the inner thighs, groin, and hips, enhancing lower body movement. Beginners, hold on to a block or chair for support if balancing is difficult. Advanced stretches, shift side to side to deepen the stretch. How low can you go? The next move will challenge your range even more. Let's take this deep squat and add an upper body twist. Our final move, a full body stretch that improves mobility and posture. Stay in your deep squat position. To left hand on the ground and reach your right arm toward the sky, twisting your torso. Hold for a moment, then switch sides. Continue alternating for 1 minute, moving fluidly. This stretch opens up the spine, chest, and shoulders while strengthening the legs. Beginners, keep your hips slightly higher if needed. Advanced stretches, hold each twist for longer before switching. You've activated every major muscle in your body. Stay strong, flexible, and powerful. I'll see you in the next session. Let's go.